Kubernetes is all around empowering organizations via automation. We one of the top contributors within the open source project, which is Kubernetes, of course, a participant in CNCF, Linux Networking Foundation, and others. And in essence, we want to reduce complexity and make IT infrastructure and OT infrastructure easy to use and to consume. I think that's of essence. And when it comes to the differentiation factor, we promote choice within all of the environments that you already have, that you want to have, all of the feature sets, and all of the things you want to integrate. So Kubernetes has been a distributed company from day one on. So with the very first developers, our founders decided that they want to recruit talent globally and that there will be no limitation to that. And therefore, they had to choose like the tools and everything in order to do that. Yeah, we have also had a fairly long bootstrapping phase of more than 4 years, where the project and consulting business was the revenue source for product development. And in 2019, they decided to go open source. So everything had to live on GitHub, which it did already. And then they were looking for tools that support their GitHub-based software, so to say. And that is how they came or stumbled over ZenHub. When I joined Kubernetes, I have been a customer of Kubernetes for 3.5, 4 years.
Okay.
And I just took what was available. And Sebastian, the CEO, said, you know what, we have ZenHub here because everything is on GitHub. We know there's Jira, we know there's other tools available, but have a look, please, and let me know if we can run a sophisticated process with the toolings we have. And I said, I'm a huge fan of not changing tools each and every day, and some new head of or whatever comes in and then just needs to re-roll all toolings, of course, and has to make important decisions about these things. And I took a look at ZenHub. I immediately recognized that it makes a lot of sense for a company that lives with their code on GitHub, and lives through community and contributions. To the using GitHub in a coordinated way, is not possible with GitHub alone. I think ZenHub does exactly that. It makes it easier to coordinate as a team and to purposefully drive things forward. So one of the first things I immediately recognized is that on GitHub you have quite active discussions, and this is a real benefit. To have the possibility to engage, and when your repository is open, you can engage with individual contributors, with your community.
Okay.
And then I imagined, okay, if I take this discussion now elsewhere, or if I take the organization elsewhere, I have to mirror aspects of it, because sometimes the input from your users is extremely valuable. They are experts as well, they are software developers as well. And so one very important point was that it seemed illogic and it seemed really wrong to me that we now copy tickets over or contents thereof to mirror the pipeline and the workflow someplace else. So that was a very big benefit for ZenHub in the beginning. As we are now entering a hyper growth phase, we all decisions that we do at the moment, they all carefully revolve around that we can add more teams, more people, etc., etc. And then I envisioned a workflow. We split into 3 development teams. Used also your features, which are called workflows. For that, and then we had a very straightforward approach that we process everything in a larger scale overview board, and then break it down into team boards, which are fairly simple, to have just a couple of columns, 5 or 6 columns, and that the teams, they will work on features. So we have independent feature teams, on their own boards. And of course, every change faces some resistance. With us, it was the same. But now all developers use this process. It's also very active, and I'm super proud and happy because sometimes the product team, we only really ignite topics, and structuring and additional like research or new findings, they will enter into the tickets. They use the epic functions and sub issues and sub epics, and we'll have some gigantic epics with more than 260 entries. We also have partners, partner organizations, and I share even the full like experience. I tell them, you know what, if you use the ZenHub extension for your browser or ZenHub in general, and then you can see what we see for the open repositories. Yeah, so the epics and the sub issues, and that's how you like can see what we are working on. Because just GitHub issues are a bit a nuisance in this regard, because you are lacking the overview. Yeah, you wouldn't see that these are grouped together in an epic. And one killer feature I forgot to mention, sprints. I really like it. We use it on every ticket that goes into production. And we have things that went into production in July 2021. Yeah, so they are still ongoing. Yeah, really big things. But I think ZenHub does agile right. Yeah, because you have the possibility, and you can decide whether you want to do it or not. Yeah, do you want to use milestones? Do you want to use projects, releases, whatever? And do you want to estimate things or don't you? Do you want to set an estimation on the epic, or do you just estimate all the sub issues and then have it automatically? This is what we do. We'll try to estimate the sub issues, and then the numbers add up, so that we don't artificially put something together here, because estimating smaller things is easier. Again, agile logic, very feasible. And this is, I think, what is really well done in ZenHub. I think this agile is very well done. Of course, they also adhere to the agile development methodologies, but we are not as strict. So we do not run like a pitch perfect Scrum or whatever process, but we estimate the tickets. We use the estimations for the burn down charts and for the projections on when things are getting finished. And this has been so successful as we repeatedly not only hit our deadlines and achieved what we wanted to achieve in time, but we also were able, without adding a lot of people, to improve developer productivity, so that from one release to the next, for now 3 releases in a row, we finished 40% more epics than before. In general, for us, the roadmap feature is also important, because the trajectory on when things are getting done, etc., is very useful in total. And we used that for our investor relations also a lot. So quite easy. We haven't missed one release date. Well, we released 2.20 today instead of yesterday, but that was because GitHub was having issues yesterday. But let's say we don't miss any dates now. So we haven't missed it. It was not like a week postponed or 2 weeks postponed or something like that. So yes, there's an internal alignment as well, and it's a really great one, because you have the capacity to make decisions, and to see, this is not really working out. Or if you have 2 things that are more or less needs to be done, and now you have to decide, because both of them won't go in. That's great. So that's really useful. That a couple of the colleagues that regularly watch our stuff, I think they have ZenHub as an extension installed, because they don't ask questions anymore, like what is the association for this ticket. They are more or less, this is in progress. This is from the epic that we requested, so they are aware. Stories early on, or epics and sub epics, and like organized things. I haven't done them. The developers did. Capacity to organize, and then they created like really awesome tickets, which were self-explanatory, and which, in the essence, helped themselves, because one of the colleagues was in China, another one in Middle to Eastern Europe, and I think the other one in Italy. so Southern Central Europe. And they always knew what was going on, although one of them was working much earlier, so to say, 8 hours, I think it is, was working much earlier. And he had always finished stuff when the others more or less started working.
Okay.
Yeah, so they only needed a small overlap meeting, and sometimes even without a meeting, everything was clear. Oh yeah, he finished this and this and this. Let's move on with these other 2 issues today, and then we coordinate, and everything is fine. So the boards and the issues or the epics themselves, they give a great overview in the day-to-day life. And what I think is really important also from like a management and productivity aspect is that you push things purposely forward. From the backlog to the from the product backlog to the sprint backlog to in progress to the review, and everything triggers something. But others were quite impressed with this progress. And now the whole company is migrating to a GitHub and ZenHub approach. So even sales, marketing, finance, operations, they all have their boards now within closed repositories. And they create, I think, like 70% of the organization already live on these boards. And we try to improve in all segments, and people really like it. And this happened. This has happened in the past year, and it's really great to see, and it's a lot of fun. And ZenHub improved quite well. And meanwhile, added lots of useful little features, and that's why we are happy with it.